Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Business Spotlight brought to you by Euron Systems. I am your host, Mir Haider, and today we have a very special guest joining us from the United Kingdom. He is a very young blood, who has been there, and he is also a microbiology and a public health researcher. Along with that, he has co founded one of the revolutionary aspects about how the actual conferences work and what are the differences he's trying to bring in. So please welcome Ayaan Reza Syed, the co founder of ConFlo UK, onto the stage. Hello, Ayaan. Thank you so much for joining in.
Hello. Hi.
And
Thank you very much for having me today.
yeah, thank you. And thank you for accepting our invite, considering the time constraints and all the other aspects when we speak. So thank you for that. So, Ayan, before we proceed and go ahead on how things look like, I would first really want to understand about yourself. What do you do and how did this whole conferencing part came into picture?
Sure. As you know, I'm Ayaan. I am a biomedical science researcher. So I graduated last year from the University of West of England, Bristol, where I had opportunity to study my bachelor's. And while I was doing my bachelor's, I had opportunity to do 6 different leadership roles, including TEDx as well. So knowing more about me, I love microbiology and public health. So that's where my research is about. I'm currently working on hand dryers actually to see if it's safe to use or not. But it's a fun thing to work on. But apart from that, on my final year, when I came back from a conference known as Minoritas Life Scientist Future Forum, which happened in Birmingham that time, myself and my business partner, we realized that there was no way to find conferences around you until we found a conference. It was too late to submit an abstract, or it's just hard to find those kind of conferences. So it was our dissertation time when she approached and she was like, let's start a business. That's when the idea of ConFlo came in, to have a platform where you can find conferences based on your field rather than going to a conference which doesn't make sense or like not your field. You find a conference which is in your field. But we're moving more into hybrid version as well, where it's easier and accessible for people to join conferences throughout wherever they are in the world. For example, if people are in India, they can join conferences in the UK without having to you know spend a lot of money in traveling, and all those kind of stuff.
But I had a question. Do you think people actually sit and search for conferences today as well? And how impactful is actually a conference? Because, to be very honest, the latest updates on Instagram or people who come up, and they really tell that conferences are dead, the new something is coming. So, how would you counterpart that? Like, do
Yeah.
conferences really work?
It does. Honestly, if I'm speaking, it does work. Reason it works is because networking doesn't die. What you say, conference dies, but networking doesn't die. You know, Having a network, like for example, it's not who you know, it's who knows you, or vice versa. These are all important things of networking, and why it's important for people to know other people, to research, and all those things. Now, conferences, the idea of conference is that you want to meet like-minded people. For example, if I'm a researcher going to a conference, I would like to network with a researcher who, for example, if they're in microbiology, we would connect. And not just that connection, it's not two persons connecting into one conference, it's the entire connection connecting with your connection. So you bring in your professor, you bring in your supervisor, you bring in your research mates, they bring in their research mate. It becomes a big part. And that's where, the idea, the spark comes in. Now, I agree with the part of conference being online nowadays and making it more like hybrid version, live conferences. But, at the end of the day, it's more like how you network with people and how you get to know, what you really want to do.
Got it. And I just wanted to understand because you said you just graduated and in your third year this came into picture. So I believe this is the very first time you're running a business, or is there something which is there in the blood or anything else, or how does it look like?
Um, For me personally, it's the first time running a proper business. Um, Talking about the blood, we come from a different background. My father and my grandfather as well, which is our grandfather technically, but they both were into jewelry businesses. So coming from that background to a whole different background, coming to a science, coming to a conference background is completely different. But at some point, it does match eventually. Like what jewelry people do with exhibitions is something that we do with conferences, but a bit different over there because they portray a, a product, we portray knowledge.
Understood. Just want to understand because building something new is actually a bit scary, right? Because there is a lot of time, effort, money, etc. Everything is involved. So, what was that one thing which almost stopped you from doing it, or did anything of like that happen?
It did eventually at first, when we started because we were students, and then once we realized it's really hard to start a business, register a business, how much investment you'll need, how much of your own money you'll go over there, that was all scary part that we never thought of. But you know, we realized that it's really important to have mentors throughout your journey. For example, my mentor, Professor Emmanuel, he was the one who encouraged me to go forward. He gave a way to go forward. Basically, he gave me a connections, some people within the university that I can speak to before I start a business. Then we led to student ventures who told us what is it important to start with the business, register your business, and see the law part of it, see all those kind of things. But you do really need an investment as well. That's that's something that people are scared of. People say that, oh, where will we find the investment? Honestly, it isn't that hard if you know what really you want, like what your gap is in the market, and if you're filling that gap, then it's just a matter of time before you find it. And if you don't start it, how would you expect yourself to build it? If that time I would have been scared and said that, let's not work on it, or let's work on it probably once we have a job, it wouldn't have worked it out. So it's just on how you think, and also the idea of mentors. Mentors are really important, not gonna lie.
Mentors are really important. So, guys, as we have had this discussion many times before, the importance of an educator or a mentor or a trainer or a coach, right, who guides you in the right direction and gives you an understanding. It's just not because that they have done it way better or you don't know anything. It's just that they have gone through the path which we are thinking to go. So that's always important to have a mentor of that sort. So I just wanted to understand one thing. How do you decide which STEM fields and conferences make onto ConFlo? Right? What does the smart search actually look like behind the scene?
So we're building this platform where you can find those kind of conferences based on your field. For example, as I said earlier, you don't want to go to those kind of conferences which is not your field, because you're just gonna waste your time, you're just gonna waste your money, and you have to, it'll cost you basically to go to those conferences. Now, I don't want to spend that much money and go to a specific type of conference which won't, help me out. So the smart feature that we're trying to build is basically a platform where you search what all interests that you have, and it shows you those kind of specific conferences only. And this will help many people know exactly which conferences they want to go, how to approach to those people. There'll be some courses as well online, to how to do the networking well, how to approach to people, how to talk to people. Because I personally still, even after I joined more than 50 conferences, I'm scared to talk to people sometimes. It's just the idea of going to that conference, new people, professionals, someone that you always admired in your field, and they're in front of you, and now you don't know what to speak about. So it's just, you know, you get scared. So
Got it. So we would see that there would be certain courses as well offered apart from just the conferences. So how do you
yeah.
actually get these conferences to you? Yes, I understand it's not there for the general public. It's pretty hard. There are no proper resources and everything. But how does you, like the company, the Conflow, get to know that these conferences are actually happening? How do you get that actually?
So yeah, so we have few people that are already working on, and of course, as the world is moving into AI, we have features, we have softwares that help us generate all those kind of conferences that are happening already, and gives us all the knowledge of what's happening. We just post it out there in our website, in our places, so that people are aware of it. Daily email, not daily, but weekly emails, weekly catch up to those people, those organizations who really want their conferences to be portrayed. It's just how you want people to know about it. Sometimes it's about featured conferences. Like, for example, we went to this conference, which was in Edinburgh this year, which was in one of our featured lists, which was something beyond expectations because we realized that, it was just 3 days conference that we thought it's going to be normal day, but it's 400 delegates that came to this conference. And as I said, like, as you asked me the first, like, if conferences are important, now, if it wasn't important, 400 delegates won't come to those kind of conference. And let me tell you, the tickets are 200 pounds. I'm not sure how much that is in rupees, but 200 pounds is a lot of money for students and delegates. Now,
I
if they're
think like
spending that kind of money,
20,000 bucks almost.
yeah, 20,000 rupees to attend that conference. So that means that there's something happening, and there's something that people are looking forward to. That's why they're attending those kind of conferences, and how it helps. So
Got it. So, apart from the conferencing and everything, what are the other things which you guys offer? Like, are there any networking tools? Are there any personalized alerts, or an app? Which feature did you build first, and which one surprised you by the understanding, even if it's the website version? What feature did
yeah.
surprise you that this is actually not really I thought would work, but everybody else is loving that feature?
Honestly, we haven't built that feature yet, but this is something that we have spoken to a lot of people, a lot of organizations. The idea of having, we call it ConFlo Buddy. Now, it's a bit weird name, but we are working on a name, so sorry about that. But ConFlo Buddy is basically like a platform that we're building for people who go to those conferences alone. I feel overwhelmed going alone. Many people feel overwhelmed going to like a big conference alone. So we found a gap where if people got to know who all are going to those conferences from your city or from your college or from uh, your organizations, it'll be easier for them to go together to those kind of conferences and network more well. And not just that, you can meet for coffee before going to a conference. You can talk to people like going together, and that just is something that we didn't expect that people would like the idea, but people actually like that idea because no one wants to go to a conference alone. Yeah, and also another feature that we believe that is really important is about hybrid live streaming. Now,
Mhm.
50% people are against it, other 50% are for it.
Okay.
So, some people say that the idea of conference doing live would be a bit hard for networking, but some people say it's good because I'm sitting here, you're sitting somewhere else. You can still attend this conference online, but where's the networking over there? So that's something that we thought that's going to work, but I'm not sure if it is. What that one good part, one conflict buddy part worked out of nowhere. So I hope that
Got
answered
it.
your question.
I think the minute there is a human involvement and there is something where you can do it, the automatic thing becomes better. I guess people start loving that. That's the reason we do have a lot of AI features in our portal as well. The marketing, the sales, the agents, the CRM, the whole website building, the personalizations and everything. But everywhere we have kept a little bit of human touch where human finishes it, human sends it, or a human comes into picture because that's
Yeah,
more
because
important.
at the end of the day, if you think about it, some things, like for example, YouTube itself, I'm a content creator as well. Some of the video that I posted for my vlogs went into thousands views. Some of them are literally like 50 views. Now, before I didn't understand what it really was, but it's just like if I'm making more humanly as possible, where I'm present in the camera, I'm talking to the camera, people like it, rather than me being a voiceover and saying that, hi guys, today I did this, today I did that. So it all makes sense on how much humanly as possible you can make things rather than AI. I mean, AI of course helps you a lot, but at the end of the day, people like the human touch.
Right, right. I mean, there's a reason why we are having this conversation, because I do believe that, as I said, our ICPs are educators, trainers, coaches, or anybody in the online business, and creators as well. So I wanted to understand a bit more about your YouTube journey as well. So, which is more harder, running a YouTube channel or running a ConFlo altogether?
I mean, both of it, both of it for sometimes. I mean, see, these are two things. One of them is my passion, and one of them is something that I'm building. Now, making videos have always been my passion, but it is easier to make a video than to run a company because you are just in the camera, you're making videos, you're posting it with hashtags, or you're sending it to people, or you are trying to be as fun as possible. And people might like that idea, but if you're running a business like Conflow, it's a bit different because here you're not speaking to any people. You're speaking to those professionals, those academics people, those students who are not really looking for this fun stuff. Like, if I'm posting something on Instagram saying that, hey, I'm doing this, it's for anyone, any audience, but conference not for everyone. So running a conference or running Conflow is more like being professional, and running the YouTube channel that I'm doing is more like a passion or like something to, you know, take that stress out of my work life or study life.
Mhm. Got it. Great. But then, how do you say that what impact does the personal brand or the content creation brings to a business? Do you think it's valuable? Do people recognize things better, or how does it work? Does personal branding
Yeah,
affect your company?
personal branding does because, as you said earlier, marketing, content creation, these are all a very important part in building a company. Because nowadays, I mean, even if you look at those companies in early 90s, early 80s, you will see that most of them they work through ads or through marketing. For example, this Colgate ad that I saw earlier, which was really funny, on a person coming into someone's washroom and they're like, "Do you have salt in your toothpaste?" Now that seems like something funny, but that's something that attracts people into coming to those brands. Even for us in conference industry, until people see what happens in conference, people won't join conference. That's the reason that I was working with one of the company last year, and the idea of making the videos was so that people know what's happening inside the conference and what people are feeling like. Now it was not staged, so I'm not going to people and be like, oh, you have to say this or you have to say that, but I'm asking people, give your honest opinion. And many of the people, they gave their honest opinion and they liked, and people love the videos because if I'm going to a conference, I want to know what's happening over there, or what's the point of me going to a conference when I don't know what's happening over there. So the idea of marketing works here. That's why marketing is very costly as well. If you go to those marketing agency and everything, they are something beyond your expectations. But it helps. It does helps a lot.
Understood. Understood. So I wanted to understand, because I come from a background which is into sales and marketing. I feel both are very much important. As you said, you are into a pre-revenue stage and you're building it things. So how do you plan to expand the revenue part of it or get it? What's the business model behind OnFlow? Is it going to be the typical subscription, or is it going to be something more fun?
So the idea of it is working with organizations as collaborations. So many organizations lack the accessibility and discoverability. So the idea of it to be collaboration with them, um, maybe subscription model, which we are not sure yet about a subscription model because it's a typical old fashion, isn't it? But
Mhm.
we're still working on the collaboration part of it to see how we can collaborate with those kind of organizations, those corporate people. For example, I was in collaboration with Dyson earlier, so how we can help them achieve those goals that they have in their mind: networking, collaboration, having their conferences online, hybrid, or how people can discover the conferences online.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So now let me just ask a understanding about this. So you said you work with the conference organizers too, or the corporates, helping them get attendees or have a collaboration. So what's the so what's the hardest part, of convincing an organizer to list you, or list themselves? Either they list on your
Yeah.
portal or their own portal.
Now, the hardest part is to convince them, to show them why it's needed a lot in the market. Because these are big corporation people, these organizations, they spend a lot of money to send those people out for conferences and everything like that. But but they don't really know how much they're spending on it, or they don't really know how many people are going forward to it. Now, the hardest part is to explain them the importance of a place where you can find those kind of conferences, or making them realize how much it's important to have a hybrid conference, how much you're spending. Because we spoke to a company earlier, which they said that they spend nearly 40,000, 14, sorry, 14,000 pounds to ship out five people to a different country. Now, five people, they have no idea who all are going to those kind of conferences. Now, and they don't have a track of it, that who all are going there. So once they come back, they're like, okay, you have went to this conference, you went to that conference, but they have no idea who all went and what they did over there. So it's just explaining them, how you can track that, how you can bring in those conferences, and also the important thing is to see the stats, like what is it like in your website that's completely different from our website. Now, if I
Mhm.
post, let's say if I'm a company, and if I'm posting my conference in my website, I know that I am getting at least 20,000 people, coming in to my website and seeing daily of what's
Mhm.
happening in a company. But if there are 10 people a day that's coming in your website, how how is that different? I mean, isn't my website still more better than your website? It's just to explain them why that 10 people makes more sense than your 20,000 people. Because the 20,000 people over here are looking for everything what's happening in your website, not particularly your conference. But these 10 people are looking for exactly what conferences they want. So you can say that 20,000 people are seeing your website, but how many people are attending those conferences? None. But 10
Mhm.
people who are seeing over here, at least seven of them, I can guarantee you that they are coming to that conference, because that's what they are in the website for.
Got it. So you can tell more like a niche and a proper funneling system where you know what is happening and how much is doing. So you are a, you're better at what targetings look like. So you target the right
Yeah.
people and you bring in the more right audience.
Yeah, you target the right audience, you target the right people. For example, like you don't need to know 15 people from, for example, from a college to bring those 15 people. You just need to know that one college supervisor who knows that 15 people, who trust him. So
Hmm.
you can tell to that one professor saying that bring in that 15 people, and he'll bring that 15 people rather than me texting those 15 people to come. Most they won't come, because my words are completely different from the words that they from a mentor or from a educator, like what you said about your company educator. So
Hmm.
now, will people believe my words, or would people believe my supervisor's word? So that's where it comes in. You just need to target that one guy who does the job for you, rather than targeting 100 people.
Hmm. Great. So how do you plan to market this? Because this is something which is very much I'm keen on, because I've been purely into sales previously. This is the time where I'm transitioning from sales to marketing.
Mhm.
Addition of both. So how does that work? Like, how do you plan to market things? What's your plan of action? What are the challenges you're facing during this period?
Now, of course, marketing is something that is really, really hard, because as I think as well, some of the videos goes in millions, some of the video goes in tens or fives. So you don't really know exactly which video would fire up, or how it will fire up. The idea behind it to be is what people really need, basically. Like if we're talking about conferences, the marketing of the conference is going to those conference, taking some videos of it, asking some people what it is, why is it important, talking to 15 people and asking each of them some takeaway from the conference, and that's how you market that kind of like conferences. But of course, the challenging part is to go to those conferences. Like, okay, for example, I'll ask you a question. Give me a guess on how many conferences that are happening right now, like this, like today in the world. Give me estimation.
Okay, I'll go with 210 considering there are 200 plus countries. So I'll just keep 210 and India is a little bigger. So I'll add 40 more. So 250 to 200 to
Yeah.
250 conferences.
So it's kind of weird, or like I would say it's kind of amazing that nearly more than 200,000 conferences are happening right now in the entire world. Now,
200,000.
200,000 that's happening right now. So, and people don't know about it. Generally, people don't know about it. People, like what you said, you would know only 200 conferences because that's how much conferences that you might know or your company might know. But there are 400,000 happening. But I'm not saying about this is like being a big conference, roundtable conferences, normal conferences, um, a specific conference in your field, microbiology, tech conference, AI conference. It's all 400,000 that's happening right now in the entire world. And if you look at our website, currently there are already more than 400 conferences that are um, listed over there, which are only Europe and UK. And these are 400 conferences are already listed over there. So just imagine how many conferences are happening. Now you can't go to those kind of conferences every single day because it would take you all your life to go to those conferences. But if you know exactly who all are going to those kind of conferences, you can ask them to send a bit of a takeaway from that conference, and you can make it into a video and you can market it to people saying that, hey, look, these are the people who went to these conferences, and this is the reason that you should go to the conference, and that's where your marketing comes in. I think for a sales perspective, like how you go to people and you be like, what do they need, and you provide them what they need. It's same thing with the marketing. You provide the people what they need. If they are looking for something funny, you provide them funny. If they're looking for some, like for example, if people are looking for jewelry business, you know how AI works. Like if you look into some, if you go to Instagram, you look into jewelry, it'll give you all jewelry. Your entire feed is about jewelry. So something like that. So that if people are saying that they want to go to a conference, you get all about conferences. Why is it important? And honestly, what people say that they find conferences boring. I don't understand why they find conferences boring when you can make it more interesting. And it depends on the organizers, of course.
Can I tell why they feel boring? Because there are 400 random people talking about 400 random things, which I'm not pretty sure of it is the right one. Yes, you did filter it out, saying that the right people going to the right conferences and everything would do it. But still, man, there are people with researchers coming with big, big books and talking so much. So that gets a little boring. So how do you tackle that?
Yeah,
The whole conferences
you
don't be
know,
boring.
I find sometimes even I find that boring as well. Being in a room full of intellectual people, full of politicians. If you are doing a politics one, full of politicians, full of intellectual people, full of researchers who are in PhD, who are in top in their field. Sometimes it gets daunting, it gets tiring, it gets boring. But you know, that's where networking comes in. You have to be really passionate about what you're doing before you ask those people or you go to those conference. That's why we are telling that particular thing. Like if I'm interested in microbiology, like what you said in the first part, microbiology and public health research. Now, if I'm getting those kind of conferences over there, I would like to go to those conference and meet another microbiologist in that field who I might admire or who I might have seen in online or something like that. Now I speak with them about my project and ask them some advice or ask them if they want to potentially collaborate with it. Now my research has already taken a hit now. Now it's rocket because this guy who is 25 years in the research is helping me out comparably. So now, yes, I understand it's boring, but if you're passionate about what you're doing, then I don't think it's going to be boring for you. And the idea of networking, you talk with people. Now, if, for example, randomly I meet you in a conference, I know what you do, I talk with you. Maybe in future I might approach you, maybe in 5 years' time that, hey, I have this idea if you want to work on it. I remember that you were working with this company. Now we both will have a collaboration opportunity and we might come up with some startup that might be extreme level or beyond expectations. So it's all about networking and how you find things I mean, if you talk about boring, even classes are boring. But do you think people still attend it, doesn't it?
They attend it for
Yeah, like
attendance, though. They require attendance, minimum attendance, and everything.
yeah, but ask those people who want to do something in their field. They won't come for the attendance. They will come for uh, knowledge. They will come for the time spent so they can speak. I mean, we always say the front benchers and back benchers, but
Right.
they both are right in their position. The first benches are good as well. The back benches are good as well. But first benches tend to make boring things more interesting in their mind, and backbenchers tend to make boring things boring in their mind. So it's all about how you think about it.
Got it. Amazing. I just wanted to understand one thing. When the whole world is going about AI, there's so many AI trends and everything. You chose STEM for business. So why was that very specifically? I know that's your love and passion. Love and passion and study is different. Business is a different idea altogether. I've studied engineering. I love creating
Yeah.
videos, but business development. So how does that work? Why did that STEM come, not AI?
Now the reason I chose STEM is not just because it's passionate for me, but it's something because STEM is a vast industry. It's not one small industry. Now STEM comes in science, technology, engineering, maths. Everything comes in one place. Um, I mean, if I'm talking about globally, it's $1.5 million market. $1.5 market in the entire world. If I'm talking about organizations spending that money in STEM. Now, that's the reason I chose STEM. But we're not really focusing exactly everything on STEM for now. We're probably moving forward, but STEM works more into knowledge and how you can apply that knowledge into innovation, while other field might not have that facilities.
Understood. Great. So, what's your take on how would you utilize AI in your field, and how much is it going to be beneficial for you, and how much it could backlash? It might search too much things. Sometimes AI hallucinates as well. So,
Well, I think if I'm implementing AI in ConFlow, one good thing about AI would be basically giving people an access on a platform where people can find the people, or people can find their contacts. For example, if I want to find people who are in my field, or if someone who's interested in my project, I can find those right people, right mentors, right educators. So AI would be helpful in this part of it, but if you put a lot of things into AI, then it'll just take over what conferences are really meant to be. Conferences are meant to network a lot. If you have AI doing everything for you, for example, I have seen few people. Don't take me wrong, but I've seen few people talking to AI like a person, and they're asking AI as if AI is an educator. They're like, "Hey, tell me about this. Tell me about this project. Tell me about this." And I kind of feel like that's a bit weird. I personally feel it because you just don't want to talk with AI because AI doesn't have that human touch. Like AI might give you a right information, but AI won't give you the right people or right knowledge. Because if I'm speaking to a 25 years plus experience professor and AI, it's a bit different, isn't it? Now, one of the backlash that I think that happens in our business if AI comes in, it would be basically the networking aspect. People will stop doing networking. Instead of talking to people, they'll just talk to AI and they'll call it a day.
hmm, but AI does have the knowledge. But yeah, I do understand it might not have the human touch and the experience. But the thing what I feel is AI is more like, you can tell, a database आपको सारी knowledge 10 सेकंड में लाके दे दे. That is something what
Yeah,
I feel, rather than doing everything.
yeah,
But funny part is we have actually started utilizing AI more than what we generally used to do, because right, we used to solve a bit of theory, mathematical problems and everything
hmm,
using our brain. Today we are asking AI politely to go ahead and rephrase my email. I mean, from
yeah,
solving Pythagorean to asking AI to write an email, we have lowered our standards a bit.
yeah.
But yeah.
Not just that, I mean, if you talk about the current generation facing AI problems, I mean, if you think about it, there's a lot of problems over there. I've seen young people, young students. um, who are talking to AI every single day, asking for small, even like small questions or small difficulty that they're facing. I saw a person saying that there's like you cannot connect your MacBook with the desktop or the TV. You use an HDMI. I think that's something that I learned when I was 10 years old or 5 years old, where I connected my laptop with HDMI and connected with the TV. But these people are asking how to connect an HDMI with a TV to an AI. Now, that's making people utilize things very well. That's good. It's making life easier, but it's making you more dumb as well at some point.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay, making a life easier, but we are more dumb. That is something which I would definitely accept. Okay, so I want
yeah,
to understand a few things. Let's keep it a little fast, and you can call it more like a rapid fire. But yeah, we'll
okay.
keep it more like fast. One word to describe ConFlo.
A place where to find conferences,
Okay, startup or 9 to 5.
startup.
Okay, biggest lesson from entrepreneurship.
Uh, every call might be a headache or might be an opportunity.
Wow. Can I just request my sales team to hear this point again? This is something which we at sales get bored, you know. Yeah, but I am. He will tell no only. He'll tell not interested. People will just cut the call and stuff. But yeah, it's every call is an opportunity. Every call is an headache. Wow, amazingly told. Amazingly said. Thank you so much. Okay, coffee or sleep while building a startup.
No sleep when you're building a startup. Yeah,
Okay, one app you can't live without.
ChatGPT.
Okay, great. So we go back to AI.
Back to it. But professional wise, I mean, I'm not talking about my personal life. I'm talking about my professional life, where because as you said earlier, tailoring the emails, we get bunch of emails a day. I don't even know like more than 100 emails a day. I can't reply to every single of them while looking at it, like typing. So AI helps a lot with that perspective. So let me just paraphrase it a bit. AI, ChatGPT for business, not for my personal life.
Okay, understood. Pitching investors or pitching customers? Which one would you
Pitching
prefer?
customers,
Pitching
pitching
customers, really?
customers. Yeah, the reason I would say pitching customers is because you can pitch as many investors as possible. They'll have some flaws into it. They will ask you a bunch of questions. At the end of the day, you might get it, you might not get it. But with clients, you're building a connection over there. So even if they say no to it, maybe once you properly work it out, you can still approach to them. You still have a connection with them. So even if you meet them someday, it'll still be beneficial rather than investors because they would forget you, genuinely speaking.
Okay, got it. Okay, first thing I wanted to really understand because it's my personal remote work or office.
Debatable, debatable. I'm into both. I don't mind remote and I don't mind office work, but sometimes I prefer office space. Sometimes I prefer remote. So I would say hybrid. So sometimes, 50-50.
50-50. So we'll keep like the way ConFlow hybrid is there, we'll keep this as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. So what's the biggest startup myth?
Sorry.
Biggest startup myth, according to you?
Uh, that you need investment to start business. I think
Uh,
that's the biggest startup myth. You don't really need investment to start something. You need an idea. You need a proper. Uh, you need a gap in a market. You need that idea. You need the right people. Investment can come in later on as well. It isn't important to start off for now. You can also build your money through clients as well, rather than waiting for investment or something. So I think one of the myths, if you ask me, is investment. You need an investment to start something. You don't really need.
mhm. This is something which I would love to hear more from you because this answers the whole app thing as well. In-person conference or virtual conferences.
I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to answer that particular question because that's being biased, and that's something that people would literally backfire at me later
Hmm.
on. So I'm not going to answer that part of it. But if you, okay, wait, I'll ask you a question. Are you asking me as a researcher or as a founder?
Obviously, as a founder. Why would I ask you as a researcher?
If you ask me as a founder, I would say in person. As a researcher, remote.
Okay. So you save both the ends.
Yeah, it depends on individual as well. But I wouldn't be biased as a person. I wouldn't say in person or this one. Yeah.
Okay. One networking tip for students and young professionals.
Don't be scared to talk to people in higher field. Just approach them. They are humans as well.
Hmm.
Talk to them, approach them, ask them some questions, see if there's any potential collaboration that you guys can do with that particular professional. But just don't be scared to ask them. They're just humans.
Okay. This is something which is your personal related. So build a unicorn or win a Nobel Prize.
Win a Nobel Prize.
Come on, man. Unicorn is a
Unicorn is
billion.
a myth. Unicorn is a myth. But yeah, getting a Nobel Prize, you'll be there all your life. People would know who you are, and something that you will bring into the community.
Hmm. One founder you would love to have dinner with. Don't tell your co-founder. Apart from that, you can tell others as well.
One founder I would like to have dinner with, Jeff Bezos.
That's awesome. Hmm. Okay. Any specific
Yeah,
reason?
I just like that guy. He kind of looks cool. So probably like to have a chat with him. I mean, it's just a dinner. I mean, we're not talking anything specific, isn't it? If there's anything specific, then I would probably say founder of big like corporations or big scientific organizations. But I mean, fun guy to talk to, Jeff Bezos.
Hmm. Okay. If you had one tweet, only one tweet, or let's say only one line where you could tell to describe your whole journey, what would you say?
A lot of ups and downs, but still strong.
Okay. One advice you received the best.
Oh, I think one advice that I received the best is to never fear anything in your life. You know,
Mhm.
like okay, it's gonna be funny. This was advice that people gave me that like my mentor gave me never to fear anything in life, but it's just like what I see in real life as well, where if you fear on doing specific things, you would never achieve that mentality. And I mean, for example, I lived in Thailand all my life. I wanted to come to UK. Now, if I would have feared that time that I wouldn't come to UK, it's a different country, hard place, different different people, different culture, then I wouldn't have been where I'm currently. I would have still been in my I would have graduated from my university, but I wouldn't have been in a different position, or like my mind wouldn't have been exploring different stuff. So until you face your fear, I think that's what matters the most. You have to face your fear. You have to, you know, be you.
Got it. And one worst advice you have received.
One worst advice that I got is to speak to as many people as possible when you're doing market research. That's one of the things that I found it very weird because you know you don't have to speak to 100 people to do your research. You have to speak to that specific 10 to 20 people who have been in the market for a long period of time. They'll give you valuable information, and these 100 people who might some of them might be new to industry, some of them they have no idea what the industry is about. So I think that's
Mhm.
one of the worst advice I got, to speak as many as people as possible for market research.
Okay. So 5 years from now, where do you see ConFlo and where do you see yourself?
Okay, I see ConFlo being a platform, a big platform where people can join conferences. I can see myself, I see the company being in a lot of different countries, exploring the idea of conference, making it hybrid, making people attend a lot of conferences, help people network. I see myself in a beach working from remote, yeah, while having drinks or something like that.
Got it. Drinks, by the way, guys, is not the drinks which general drinks are.
No, 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 no. It's halal drinks.
Halal drinks. Okay. And Pete, so you're going back to Pattaya? So where the journey started, you're gonna go back to Bangkok or Pattaya or Thailand.
Oh, you're asking me the question, or I thought you're saying,
Yeah, the beach. Where is which beach? Bhai, beach to bahut
uh,
sare.
some good beach somewhere in the world. I mean, I wouldn't say Pattaya is a good beach though. Um,
Mm.
yeah, there are a lot of beaches that are very, unique. I would like to work from there. I mean, that's the idea of every, founder, is that you want to work while you're chilling somewhere in the world, rather than, 9 to 5. Ugh, you don't want to do 9 to 5.
Got it. Great. So this brings to the end of what we have been having a discussion, for the insightful and amazing episode of Business Spotlight. Ayan, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your incredible journey, the vision behind ConFlo, and your perspective on entrepreneurship, research, and the future of hybrid events.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed this podcast, and generally looking forward to see what more podcasts would be there in the system, and to see if how the system works, how it'll be helpful.
Great, amazing. So, to everyone watching, if today's discussion resonated with you, make sure to connect with Ayaan Reza Syed and check out ConFlo UK, to learn how they are making conferences more accessible and inclusive across the globe. And if you really like what we are doing, so don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, follow to our channel, to all our social media channels and conversations with founders, educators, innovators, trainers, coaches, anybody in the education space or in the online space. Do follow Euron Systems, and you can follow me as well. I'm your host, Mir Haider, and this is Business Spotlight by Euron Systems. Until next time, keep learning, keep building, and keep creating impact. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.